Arman Tsarukyan is officially the #1 contender, boys. He did it. He took out the most dangerous lightweight contender of all time, the guy with the most takedown defense and the biggest arsenal of submission threats to have ever existed. Dan Hooker, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wait, no. Dan Hooker always gets taken down and has no submissions and actually gets submitted pretty easily. Why did I pick that he was going to beat Arman Tsarukyan again? Oh, that's right. I'm Big Dumb Harry and I hate Arman. But I can't hate him anymore because, honestly, the fact that he didn't fight for the last 2 years, outside of just pulling his back out before the Islam fight, hasn't probably been his fault, right? Like, Ilya didn't want to fight him. Paddy and Gaethje obviously aren't fighting him. So Dan Hooker's probably the only guy that said yes. And Arman made it look easy. He took him out in 2 rounds, submitted him, showed he's levels above these other guys at lightweight, and called out the champ. So this was an insane fight night card, UFC Qatar, like maybe the best fight night of the entire year. And I know I've said that for a few of these cards, but this legit was really, really good. So I've taken pictures of all of the best moments of all of the best fights. I've decided for these fight recaps that I'm not really going to cover any of the boring fights anymore. I'll leave that to the MMA gurus, the bedtimes, these guys that are covering absolutely everything. I'm just taking photos of all the best moments. So if you didn't catch up on the fights or if you didn't watch them, you can basically get everything you want here. I've put timestamps down below. Make sure to click those if you want to just skip to whichever fights you are interested in. But let's start with Ismail Naurdiev versus Ryan Loder. Now, this one was an interesting start because you can see here from Ismail Naurdiev's face that he seems to know something that we don't know. You see that cheeky little look on his face? I think he smells that a knockout is about to come. So 2 seconds later, he gives a nice jab to the body on Loder, follows up with a sick right hand to the jaw, puts Loder down. Want to see it from another angle? Here you go. Jab to the body, right hand to the jaw. Loder goes down, and Ismail Naurdiev wins. This guy's fun. I didn't like his last fight because he took out the Iron Turtle, and I like the Iron Turtle, but Ismail Naurdiev's a fun fighter, man. Moving on to what a lot of people were probably anticipating as the biggest fight of the prelims. Little bro Topuria, Aleksandre Topuria, was fighting Bekzat Almakhan, and this was a pretty close fight, but Lil Topuria did a good job. He comes out, gets leg kicked pretty much immediately, big leg kick, and I'm surprised that this didn't happen more, honestly, because he leaves his leg out there to be kicked. I'll show you again later, but you really don't see any more leg kicks coming from Bekzat after this. They get into a sort of clinch position here. Topuria throws him over easily, immediately gets into guard. And then a moment later, literally in 1 second here, you see it go from 127 to 128. 127 to 126. He goes from side control, goes from guard to side control to mount, literally in 1 or 2 seconds. They get back up. This is the second round. And again, it's where are the leg kicks? Because Topuria just leaves his leg out the front there and even turned to the point where it's you could kick it. So it's asking to be kicked. But I think it's because of this. So just like his older brother, Aleksandre Topuria does a lot. Maybe, I don't know which one's the older brother, but just like his bigger brother, Aleksandre Topuria does a lot of forward movement, a lot of aggression. He's constantly pushing forward. And I think that just when you're putting your opponent on the back foot, it's hard for them to throw those kicks all the time. So that was basically the fight. Aleksandre Topuria did a lot of aggression, good strikes, did good damage. Bekzat was never really able to get anything off. Moving on to Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev versus Rafael Cerqueira. Now, Yakhyaev is a fighter to watch, man. He came off the Contender Series and he got a 30-second KO there. I said another 30-second KO, but this actually wasn't a KO. He did finish in 30 seconds, but he starts with this spinning heel kick, follows up with just a bit of aggression. Right hand catches Cerqueira here, puts him down, throws some ground and pound, grabs him by the back, throws him back down, grabs a hold of his neck, sort of like Yuri Prochazka, Glover Teixeira style, where he doesn't even have the hooks in, but he just grabs the neck, sinks it in tighter, even tighter, gets his hooks in and a body lock going on, and is able to get the tap. 30 seconds. This guy is a beast. I'm excited to see him fight again next. Moving on to Alex Perez versus Almabayev. My little mountain man gets it done. So I was a little bit scared here because, first round, Almabayev, he starts with his own spinning wheel kick. I guess there was a lot of that going on tonight. Alex Perez does a good leg kick here. Almabayev goes for the takedown, gets it up against the fence, tries to turn the single to the ground. Perez is able to stay up. Almabayev gets him back up against the fence again. And then Perez Almabayev lands a really good knee here. And then there was a right hand and another knee. Perez ends up Almabayev tries to take Perez down again towards the end of the round, but Perez sort of stuffs it, throws a couple of elbows to his head here. And then round 2 starts, and Perez starts putting it on him. Perez is a lot bigger than Almabayev, and you can tell that Almabayev is just having to work a lot harder. He gets Almabayev down on the ground here, throws a good ground and pound. This landed very well. Takes Almabayev down, controls him. In between these rounds, I'm thinking like, oh my God, my pick's going terribly here. But Almabayev shows that he is the little mountain man and comes into the 3rd round, throwing another spinning wheel kick. Perez goes for a takedown. Almabayev quickly snatches the guillotine, jumps up onto him like he's his girlfriend, and then cinches that guillotine up and squeezes it so tight the referee has to stop it. Look at that little mountain man. Moving on to Nicolas Dalby versus Saygid Izagakhmaev. Now, my question for you guys is, do you want me to break down fights like this? Because this was honestly super boring. This is basically what it was. A lot of clinch work up against the fence. The referee pulls it apart, back up against the fence, up against the fence, down on the ground, Nothing really happening. Up against the fence, more fence. And Nicolas Dalby somehow wins a fight that most people thought he was lost. I think most people thought that he lost it 2-1, but he used that Dagestani, I'm going to hold you up against the fence game plan. And, they're in Qatar, so they probably thought that this was like masterful fighting, honestly. Moving on to Bogdan Grad versus Luke Riley. So Luke Riley saves us from another snooze fest here, thankfully. And again, if you don't want the snooze fests, let me know, and I'll make sure I just don't put any of those fights in my recaps. But this one wasn't a snooze fest because it almost started that way. Bogdan Grad comes out like holding his corner's hands for the walkout. I don't know if that's because he didn't want them to let him get in there or something like that, because he really didn't want to fight. Because once they get in there, he tries to hold Riley up against the fence, take him down, sort of take him down again. Nothing really happening, just a lot of control. Good elbow off of the break here. Again, just more control. Right at the end of the round, he throws some good ground and pound to finish and basically steal the round here. But then round 2 starts, and this is where it gets really good. So Bogdan Grad missed a right hand here, and then Luke Riley slips it, throws his own right hand that misses. Left hand, boom, right on Bogdan Grad's chin. And Bogdan Grad, still throwing his own punch, completely overextends and is out on the ground. A little bit more ground and pound from Luke Riley, and he gets the win. Moving on to the start of the main card, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Kyoji Horaguchi. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Kyoji Horaguchi gets it done, guys. 3rd round finish, broke Tagir Ulanbekov. I didn't get all of the photos of this fight because I was actually making some food, and so I was like, this fight's probably not going to be that exciting. But 3rd round was crazy. After already breaking Tagir Ulanbekov over the first couple of rounds, Kyoji Horaguchi goes head kick, lands, flush, right hand, follows it up to the ground, grabs the choke, gets the choke, and I'm covering Tagir's... Oh, well, no, I'm not. I'm just covering the referee's ass here. And yeah, Kyoji Horaguchi gets the win and ends up calling out Pantoja. Fun fight. I actually think he's a good addition to the to the flyweight division. After Pantoja versus Joshua Van, it'll be interesting to see what they do next. Maybe they could do Pantoja versus Brandon Royval or something like that. But anyway, we'll see. Moving on to Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Shamil Gaziev, the Blob King. Dude, Waldo Cortes-Acosta is on his Tom Aspinall humiliation tour for some reason. I don't know what he's got against this guy, but he is coming out. He's fighting more actively than anybody. He fought literally 3 weeks ago after Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane fight, when Tom didn't really take much damage other than the eye thing, and he's back in there again, fighting now, and winning against a guy in Shamil Gaziev who only had one loss on his record and like 14 wins. So it comes out, they're sort of feeling each other out for the first 30 seconds, and then they crash in at about a minute. Waldo Cortes-Acosta slips one of the punches, and then he sort of like stands out here and then just throws like the right jab almost. It's like sort of a lead hook type of situation. Lands clean on Shamil Gaziev. Gaziev goes down. Waldo Cortes-Acosta follows up with some back of the head strikes. Gaziev then goes to take it to the cage and try and get Waldo Cortes-Acosta down. But Cortes-Acosta is able to get some space, land this beautiful right hand that puts Gaziev down. Here's another angle right on the chin, puts him down. And you can see Gaziev's face of agony in the corner there. Nice win for Waldo Cortes-Acosta. He puts the eye patch on to show, I'll fight with one eye. I don't care. I'm way better than you, Tom Aspinall. So these two have to fight at some point. I'd honestly, at this point, I'd rather see Tom Aspinall versus Waldo Cortes-Acosta than Cyril Gane. That's not true. But because Cyril Gane cheated, I wouldn't mind seeing Waldo Cortes-Acosta get the fight. Moving on to David versus Goliath. Jakhyaev versus Miktebek Orolbai. So the crazy thing about this fight is that they were actually two weight divisions apart. Jakhyaev came from middleweight, Miktebek Orolbai came from lightweight, and Miktebek Orolbai pieced Jakhyaev up. Jakhyaev should not be in the UFC anymore, okay? Seriously, his chin is gone. He's Mr. Glass. We need to get rid of this guy. Like, he can't even last a round. Watch this. Look, he's already off balance, and we're like 1 minute into the fight. Orolbai goes for like a spinning thing here. Got him up against the fence. Goes to just follow with some strikes. Again, throws him off balance with a right straight. Right uppercut lands. And he's down. And you're like, what happened here? How did he go down? Watch this. This right hand to the ear, you go, wow, that's a big right hand to the ear to put Jack down like that. What happened? How did this happen? Watch this. Dude, it like literally this right hand barely hits him. It like grazes his ear. And then this is how out Jakhyaev, he's completely out from that. Just waiting to get like literally... Miktebek Orolbai's got a punch here, ready to land again. And Jakhyaev's like, hey, yeah, hit me, please. Like, dude, your chin's gone. Miktebek Orolbai, nice welterweight debut. Lighterman skill does it again. It is, at this point, you can't bet on the heavier guy. I thought, like, Jakhyaev being so much heavier would be able to do something here, but no. No. Do not bet on the heavier guys ever. Moving on to Volkan Ozdemir versus Alonso has been in many fields. 3 back-to-back first-round KOs, guys. This was sick. So Volkan Ozdemir just comes in literally like he did not respect Menifield at all. Like literally just walked him down and tried to take him out of there as quickly as he could. There was this weird moment at the start where it's like he sort of got caught off balance, but as soon as that was over, Volkan Ozdemir just comes in throwing knees, just missed, leg kick, left hook, another knee, this knee lands, then he's just trying to throw everything. A right hook lands here, and then this was a left elbow. Yeah, left elbow. And then this was the big punch that does a bang. Puts Menifield down. Mark Goddard has to get in the middle of that. Volkan Ozdemir wins. Just check that out again. Like, literally just came in there with no respect. And once it got to this point, threw everything at him. So, leg kick, left uppercut, knee, lands, right hook, right uppercut, left hook. Get some space, left straight, bang, Menifield goes down. Beautiful win for Volkan Ozdemir. Moving on to Belal Muhammed versus Ian Garry. Guys, just how bad is Belal Muhammed? Oh my God. We all thought that he was like this crazy, just he doesn't look like a fighter, but he's got that dog in him type of thought. That's what everyone thought about Belal Muhammed. Now we just realized that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has no grappling. And if Stephen Wonderboy Thompson had grappling, he could have been a champion at once upon a time, because Ian Garry is knocking on the door of being a champion, and Wonderboy has striking that would put Ian Garry to sleep, right? But because of the fact that he can never stop the takedowns, he can't do what Ian Garry can do. So check this out. Ian Garry's basically able to big brother these guys. Now, this almost did get into the eyes with an eye poke, and you can actually see right after Belal's like, hey, you almost got me in the eyes there, dude. What the hell? And then Ian Garry, literally like 2 seconds later, they get into a bit of a scuffle here, and he pokes him in the eye. Ian Garry's going, no, I didn't poke him in the eye. But you did. Look, he poked him right in the eye. Like, this eye poking thing has to stop. I don't know what we're going to do about it. But anyway, they get back into it. Ian's throwing a lot of kicks. This right here is basically the story of this fight. So because Ian is so tall, and I don't know if you can see it in any of these other moments, but like, yeah, he's standing so forward with his weight that he's able to actually like pull his lead leg back so easily for how forward his weight is when Belal goes to throw that kick. So he gets just out of the way, sort of by like pivoting his hip and moving his knee, you can see. And as soon as he gets out of the way, he stomps Belal's knee back, and Belal's whole leg comes back here. I actually can't really see that so well. Let me show you that again. So misses the leg kick. Ian then stomps Belal's knee. Belal's whole leg goes back. And then Ian's just dancing out of the way. Good leg kick. Throws, like, that leg kick basically spins Belal onto his butt. And then Belal gets back up, tries to do some clinch work, but Gary's able to get out of there. Again, Gary's almost poking in the eye here, it looks like. And poor Belal just takes too many eye pokes. Belal goes for another takedown. Gary's takedown defense is just too good. This is basically the fight, right? It's just like, yeah, you keep trying to take down. Gary's eventually going for his own takedown here. Basically, this was in round 2, the second eye poke fiasco. But now the crazy thing is that there was no eye poke. So I watched this. These pictures don't do the best job of telling, but like, I watched this multiple times over to try and get these screenshots. There's no eye poke happening here. So this was basically just like a 1.5-minute rest that Belal got for no eye poke. Anyway, Ian Garry wins, decision. Basically just dominant control by keeping his weight so far forward that Belal's in striking distance, but he can't get a hold of his legs, and then being able to like pull back anytime Belal is striking so that Belal hits air and he's able to punish him. Very, very good. Very good. Ian Garry is good at game planning. He knows how to fight his opponent's weaknesses and use his strengths. He calls out Ilya afterwards. I don't know how you are going to beat... he calls out Islam Makhachev afterwards. I don't know how he beats Islam. But I wouldn't count him out. You know, I do think of all of those guys at the top, he might have the best chance. Him or Kamaru Usman. And Kamaru is it's very hard to say with his age, you know. Like, Ian Garry might be the best guy to beat Islam Makhachev right now. Anyway, moving on to the main event. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Okay, Arman, you win. You're the number 1 contender, my boy. He did a good job here, man. They touched gloves, which I was surprised about. And then they come in. Arman Tsarukyan immediately goes for the body kick. Hooker catches it. Arman goes for a takedown. Wasn't able to get it. Dan Hooker's able to get out of there, but then Arman throws a good knee on the break. They both exchange jabs here. Arman goes for a head kick. Dan goes for his own body kick that this actually missed completely, like it goes through. Arman then goes for pressure, right hand, left hand, high kick. Dan Hooker goes for a left hook, tries to go for his own tie clinch to knee, but then Arman goes to take it into a takedown. Dan Hooker grabs his back and actually tries to take Arman to the ground. Arman spins into him. Dan Hooker then tries to take the guillotine. Arman goes down to his back to avoid the guillotine because it did look very tight, but is then able to get on top of Dan Hooker and basically use the rest of the round like that. Just like beating up on Dan Hooker, sort of crunching him down. Like nothing's really happening here between these 2 minutes, but you can imagine what it is. A lot of grinding, a lot of elbow to the face, some punches here and there, like grinding, smushing him. That's basically what we were watching, right? So we move... in between first and second round, what we find out is that Dan Hooker's eye is swelling up because just like the headbutt from yesterday, Arman Tsarukyan didn't have enough of that and he wanted to throw another headbutt right into Dan Hooker's cheek. And so now Dan Hooker has a swollen up face going into round 2, all because of an illegal headbutt. Not that it really changed much, honestly. Arman goes to throw another body kick that Dan Hooker catches. Arman goes for his own single leg takedown. They're in the clinch position here. Dan Hooker then goes for so as Arman goes for that takedown, Dan Hooker goes for the guillotine, drops for the gilly, and then Arman does one of the best, like, gator rolls I think I've really ever seen. Check this. Spins, Dan Hooker's got the guillotine. Arman just literally spins the other way with his neck in Dan Hooker's guillotine here, all the way back over, and is now on top of Dan Hooker. Is able to pass guard or go into sort of full guard and rain down punches from like a mounted guard position here. And then just you can see at so many positions how Arman Tsarukyan is so far ahead of Dan Hooker. Like, Dan doesn't even really understand what is happening here or why Arman's grabbing the arm, but it's just allowing him to like isolate it so he can then go for that arm triangle, puts it together, gets it really tight. Had Dan's arm trapped here for a second, then he's able to get it out, still not able to do much, ends up tapping. Ref stops it. Arman Tsarukyan obviously wins, calls for Ilia Topuria to get in the cage and do their face-off. And that's it, boys. Arman Tsarukyan is the number 1 contender. I don't know what we do with him, though. Like, is Ilia Topuria going to fight him next? Or is he going to do the Paddy fight? Or is he going to try and go up to welterweight and fight Islam? But, I'm glad to see that Arman actually fought and that he rightfully has that number 1 contender spot. Nobody can say that any other lightweight fighter now deserves that lightweight championship fight first. They might still give it to Paddy, and I would laugh my ass off if they did, but it would not be deserved. Anyway, this was a fun card, guys. I had a lot of fun. Literally, I think this is the best fight night of the entire year. When you have 3 back-to-back first-round KOs, almost every single fight was finished on the main card except the Belal fight. But, I mean, good luck getting a finish on a Belal fight, right? This video was harder to make than usual. I enjoyed the taking the photos and putting it all together, but then for whatever reason, when I started actually talking about it, I didn't know what to say or anything. So I'll have to figure out how to keep my thoughts collected really well while still, actually gathering all of the screenshots to do. But guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed the fights. If you didn't watch the fights, then I definitely hope that you enjoyed the video. And if there's any feedback that you could give me on how I could make this any better, I love it. Honestly, I'm just using Canva and just using it sort of as a slideshow. I'm not doing any post-editing or anything like that after this, so yeah. Just let me know. If there's ways that you think you could be more efficient or better, I'd be super open to it. But have a great weekend, guys. Bye.